King of the Road.
Happy Halloween, and thanks for watching the King of the Road show. I'm Jim King. I broke out my Bonehead Crown Boy hat and Halloween King cape for the occasion. I don't have anything scary for you in this program, but I do have exclusive concert footage and interviews from the recent Beaumont Boys Bash on Crockett Street. Oh, and by the way, the Dixie Dance Hall on Crockett Street welcomes the Randy Rogers Band on Thursday, November 5th, and Stoney LaRue on Thursday, November 12th. On Friday, November 27th, you can work off some of that Thanksgiving turkey and dressing with Beaumont boy Mark Chestnut at the Dixie Dance Hall. For more information, visit DixieDanceHall.com. Speaking of the Beaumont Boys, the Beaumont Boys weekend kicked off with Songwriters Night at the Dixie Dance Hall. The participating Nashville songwriters included Mark Nessler, Casey Beathard, Win Varble, David Lee, and Kevin Denny. Ride shotgun with me as we look in the rear view at Songwriters Night at the Dixie Dance Hall in downtown Beaumont.
One man has the power to take you behind the scenes. Jim King of the Road. Jim King of the Road.
Mark Nessler, man.
Hey.
Welcome back to Beaumont.
Good to be here.
It's Buna's best here. Songwriter Mark Nessler, actually you're quite an entertainer yourself too. I've seen you live before, and you could have had a career just like Tracy Byrd or Mark Chestnut doing that, but you chose to be to concentrate on songwriting, didn't you?
Yeah, songwriting was my first love. You know, I mean, I enjoyed performing, but I was fascinated with songwriting from the age of 10. You know, and that's what I wanted to do. And for many years, I had to go out and play clubs and perform to pay the bills. But when the writing started bringing in a decent income, I started putting more energy toward that.
What started that songwriting?
Well, my dad, he wrote songs, and that inspired me. But I remember one day I was listening to a Buck Owens record, and suddenly I just got it. It was like, you know, somebody's got to write these songs.
Yeah.
And the name of the song was Tall Dark Stranger. And so I immediately picked up my guitar and started trying to write a song, you know, myself that was original. And it ended up sounding a lot like the Buck Owens songs, but it was, you know, it was a good attempt. I met with Billy Currington one day and Tony Martin, and we sat down and we were going to write us a song, but we didn't know what we were going to write about. And then suddenly Tony Martin says, "Have you ever noticed how it seems the one thing that a woman loves about you the most in the beginning is the thing she hates about you later?" Of course, Billy and I, we just laughed, you know. It's like, yeah, man, we totally get it. And it's true, you know. I mean, if you're funny, you know, she thinks that's really cool. And then later on, she's like, you know, is everything a joke to you? Me, I play guitar. Most of the girls I dated found it kind of romantic at first. And then later on, it was like, is that all you want to do is play that guitar? And they would start trying to kill this thing, you know. It's like they wanted to get rid of it. It was the enemy. And it was the demise of many relationships. But anyway, I'm going to do you a song that we wrote together, Billy, Tony, and I. And it was inspired by that conversation. It's called Why, Why, Why. It goes like this. I've been your lover, I've been your friend, I've been your faithful one, man. I've been your diamond in the rough. Now you say you want to polish me up. Why do you want to change me now? Ain't I the one you loved everything about? You might start missing the old me ain't around. So why do you want to change me now?
You must have found pretty early that you had a knack for it, because you've written a ton of songs. In fact, George Strait's cut a couple of your songs and went to #1.
Yes, he has. You know, that was a very special moment in my life.
Yeah.
I'm such a huge fan of his, and I think now, you know, when he goes in the studio, it's every writer's dream, you know, to get a George Strait cut. It's like getting the nod from the king, you know. So yeah, that was awesome.
Originally from Beaumont, how often do you make it back to this area?
Not very often. I was here last year, and we did an in the round, and it was a lot of fun. I hadn't been back since.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on Toledo Bend Lake, but I rarely ever get back to Beaumont.
Still ride every day?
3 or 4 days a week. That keeps me pretty busy because, after you ride them, you've got to go in the studio and track them and sing them and close out the mixes, and so it kind of starts overlapping, the work. Yeah.
And you've spent a lot of years on stages around here in Beaumont. I think you even toured with Tracy Byrd up in the mid-'90s quite a bit.
I sure did, and those were some really good years for me. Right after I signed with MCA in '94, Tracy offered me a job out on the road playing guitar. And I was a little hesitant because I'd just gotten my staff writing deal, and he had just cut 3 of my songs, and he was like, heck, Nestler, I'm going to take care of you, come on out on the road. So I did. I thought I'd stay about 6 months, and I ended up staying 2.5 years, and he's been so good to me through the years. He's cut more of my songs than any other artist that I can think of.
You used to play at Cutter's too, didn't you?
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah.
I remember the days that Chestnut was out there, and Chestnut's also cut some of my songs and been very supportive. It just feels good to be from an area where, country music just seems to thrive, You can go back to George Jones and...
Yeah, quite a heritage here.
Yeah. It's awesome.
All right. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Mark Nestler.
It's the King of the Road Show, and we're looking in the rear view at the recent Beaumont Boys Bash on Crockett Street in downtown Beaumont. We're checking out Songwriters Night at the Dixie Dance Hall.
Mr. David Lee, y'all. Good to be back on Texas soil again. I get home about once or twice a year, and it's good to be back. This first song I'm going to play is a little song that a buddy of mine, Dave Turnbull, and I sat down one day and we're talking about how tough we had it being songwriters and how rough it was. And then I remembered I was a concrete worker and a welder before I started writing songs, and we came up with this. Days where I hate my job, this little town and the whole team. Last Sunday when the Cowboys lost, Lord, it put me in a bad mood. I have moments when I curse the rain, and then complain when the sun's too hot. I look around at what everyone has, and I forget about all I've got. But I know I'm a lucky man, God's given me a pretty fair hand. I got a house and a piece of land, a few dollars in a coffee can.
It's the King of the Road Show, and we're looking in the rear view at the Beaumont Boys Bash on Crockett Street in downtown Beaumont. More from Songwriters Night next.
I tip my hat
Coming up later, we'll check out the Crockett Street concert, starring Tracy Byrd.
Find my pride, self-esteem, get on with my life, follow my dreams, ain't looking back.
Tracy Lawrence.
Dated 1882, when this is what it said.
And Zona Jones.
This town has 7 blacksmiths.